Hey guys, welcome back to New Digs, and we're here in Jill's garden, and we want to make a special introduction today.
Yes, this is my new garden helper. This is Monty, our new rescue. We've only had him for about 10-11 days now, so
Get your nosy up so you can see. And he's named after Monty Don,
Yes.
who is gardener extraordinaire who
Yes.
has, what's his, Gardener's World? Gardeners
Yes.
on TV. So Monty
Yes.
Don, we are your fans.
So anyway, today we're here in my vegetable garden, and it's October. and
Beautiful,
it's-
beautiful day today.
It's a beautiful day. and
Perfect fall day.
It's the time to plant garlic and shallots. So you can pretty much plant your garlic and shallots anytime in October. I think depending on the weather, you might even get away with after Halloween.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's safe. It's really safe now. Just in our part of the ice box, mid-October
Okay.
is sort of a good time to kind of shoot for.
And the garlic that you're planting, this is garlic that you grew last year, right? So tell me about the life cycle.
Well, thing about garlic is if you want to plant garlic, you want to find the biggest heads of garlic you can find. In my case, I harvested my garlic midsummer like everyone else, and I set aside the biggest cloves, the biggest heads of garlic, and save that to be my seed garlic. You want that to save the best for growing. It's always hard, you want to eat it all, but
Yeah.
if you don't have it from last year, if this is your first time planting garlic, you want to ideally get good seed stock from somebody who like Fruition, or somebody who
Fruition Seeds.
Fruition
is a
Seeds
company. Okay.
So that's mail order, and they're sending out now. They're really good, reliable, and they're in the Finger Lakes, so they're kind of like similar zone than we are. So I feel like they're a really good,
Yeah.
reliable source for things that are going to do. If they do well where they are, they're
Right.
probably going to do well where we are. But a good grower of seed stock.
So I can't just bring home a head of garlic from the supermarket and
I
do the same thing.
I wouldn't do the supermarket, because in the supermarket, in transportation, they often spray their garlic and their vegetables with things that chemicals to make them not sprout.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you don't know if they have, but it's just best to stay away from supermarket garlic.
Maybe
for
a
that.
farmer's market, though, if you
I
could ask
the
them
very
if they've-
first time I grew garlic, I did start with something I got at the farmer's market, and I knew to be organic.
Right.
So, and then from that, I just every year saved the
Okay.
biggest, and since then, my heads have been getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So it's it's a good practice to
Okay.
start with, either good seed stock from a reliable nursery or seed company, or the farmer's market.
Okay.
So that being said, I've got mine, and I've also going to be doing shallots today too. And again, I saved my biggest shallot cloves from this season.
Okay.
And the same thing goes. They really planted very much the same way.
Okay.
So
And this is pretty simple. I know you're gonna demonstrate for us, but this is really the thing is just the timing, and just to remember to do this, because I think I know we did a video where we harvested the garlic scapes in early summer. I think that was June maybe. So we're planting this garlic now. It's going to overwinter, and then we're going to harvest it next
right.
summer.
And the reason you want to plant now instead of in the spring is if you plant it in the spring, garlic needs a good freeze.
Oh, all right.
So it's sort of like some bulbs need a freeze.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you plant it in the spring, instead of getting a big head with many cloves, you'll get one big clove.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it won't divide. I don't know why, but it won't divide into many cloves.
Had no idea.
So you don't want to plant in the spring.
Okay.
So the first thing we're going to do is I've got a bed that it's a new bed, and it's filled with compost. You want it to be pretty rich.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put some amendments in and then we're going to start going.
Okay, sounds good.
He's a beautiful boy. Here's a beautiful Monty. Yes.
Now, one of the reasons this is a good time to plant garlic is because the soil is warm and the nights are cool. So you really want it to be just all about putting down roots. You don't really want the shoots coming up. If they do, it's not the end of the world, but you want them to be putting energy towards the root development. So that's why it's nice to get started this time of year. So first thing you want to do is take your garlic and divide it up into the individual cloves. So when you plant your garlic, once it's all separated, you want to make sure that you're putting the root plate down and the pointy end up. Otherwise, it's going to have to work twice as hard to send it shoot up. But you want it to have about good 4 inches of soil above the clove when you put it in. Up here in our cold climate, if you don't put it really nice and deep, it might heave out. So better to be a little deeper. So we're going to plant them about 8 inches apart, and I happen to know that the spread of my hand is about 8 inches. So feel free to use a tool. I use my hands as my tools on the hole. So I'm going to pop you in, and my soil's already been amended with an all-purpose fertilizer. You don't have to have special fertilizer for garlic, but you do have to be kind of aware that they are heavy feeders, and the roots are kind of the more important part of that. So if you're getting an all-purpose fertilizer, make sure that it's sort of the number in the middle. I'm good stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
Make sure that the number in the middle of the NPK, the 3 numbers, the middle number is sort of the most important one. So if you're using a good all-purpose organic fertilizer, that's probably just fine. So don't worry about it too much. But you do want soil that's got some amendments, and then you'll want to amend it again in the spring. So, but just to start out with good, rich compost with some amendments. And then we're going to plant every 8 inches or so. And out in this bed, I think I can fit about 24 bulbs. And after you've popped them down in their holes, you want to just cover them all up. And then we're going to cover with a couple inches of mulch. I usually use leaves that I've mowed over with a lawnmower a little bit. I haven't started doing my fall leaves this year, so I don't really have leaves handy, but I do happen to have some straw. So I'm going to be covering it with a nice thick layer of that. Now, in the spring, I'm probably going to pull the straw mulch back a little bit and let the soil warm up. And also, I tend to like to interplant my garlic with lettuce. So if you pull the mulch back, that gives you a nice space between that you can plant lettuce, because lettuce doesn't take up that much space. Also, one other note, one of the reasons I want to use this bed for my garlic is because on the other side of this fence I've got my espalier apples and pears, and garlic is said to be a good companion plant for apples. It's supposed to keep some of the apple cooties away, and I'm trying to grow organically, and it's growing apples organically is a trick, so I'll take any help I can get. So we'll see if this does anything for that. So I'm going to be planting my shallots as well, and they're planted very much the same way. They need the same kind of soil amendment, the same kind of preparation, the same distance. The only difference with shallots is you're going to want to plant them much shallower. So you want to plant the shallot so the very top, when you trim off the brown, the very top is just at the surface of the soil. But we are going to put a heavy mulch on top of that to keep critters from digging it up and keep it from heating too much. But they don't want to be buried too deeply or else they could rot. This shallot obviously was stored at the bottom of the basket and got a little soft, so we're not going to use that one. You only want to use cloves of garlic or shallot that's nice and firm. So it's as easy as that. And so we'll go ahead and plant the rest of these, that same 8-inch spacing, and then we're going to give it a nice bed of mulch, and I think we're done with this job. These shallots are a variety that Melissa and I both grew from seed last year. But when you grow it from seed, you only get one clove. And so I didn't really get to eat any of them this year because now these are just becoming my seed shallot for next year, and each one of these will now multiply into many.
So when you harvest them, it's going to be more like a garlic situation where you have multiple.
It's not a tight head like garlic, but you will dig up, 6 or 8 at a time.
Okay.
So
that all will come out of that one clove.
Yeah.
That we're planting now.
Yeah. But it won't be like a tight head like garlic, but it will be the same kind of multiplying sort of situation. So I'm excited about that because this year I'm planting everything back in that I just harvested. So, okay.
And what is this product, Jill?
Well, this is a straw mulch that I had left over from a wildflower project. This is not something I would normally use. I'm a little shy of using straw hay mulches in general because you can sometimes get weed seeds. But this seems to be a pretty good product. My preference is to use mown over autumn leaves because that's what I have in abundance, and I know that they're not going to be full of weed seeds. So that's basically all you need to do until the spring, when you're going to start fertilizing it again, and it'll start sending up shoots. And it's as easy as that.
So I did have a question. Between the time when you harvest the garlic, so it's mature, and when we plant it now, it has to dry, right? So how do you store it?
The way I do it is you want to after you've lifted the garlic,
Which happens in the summer.
in the midsummer. The shallots I happened to harvest a little bit later just because I think they weren't quite as much sun. By the way, you do want to plant in full
Good
sun.
tip.
Garlic
Full
and
sun.
shallots want full sun. So after I've lifted them, you want to spread them all out so they can get some air to cure.
Okay.
you want to be not in direct sun, but in lots of air circulation.
Oh, all right.
In my situation, I've got a large thing that I use to sift out rocks out of soil. So it's got a sort of a woven
wire.
woven mesh bottom on the, and so it's nice and flat. A big basket would work.
Okay.
Something that has perforation, so air circulation. I spread it all out on that, and it still has it's the long stalks.
That's what I was
on.
going to ask you. You have not cut the... Now, the
No.
stalks will have died back by that
They,
time?
they will. Have
They
been-
won't be green, right?
They won't be green because you don't harvest until they start to turn brown and get
Good,
pretty
okay.
crunchy. So
And that's going to, again, happen in midsummer.
Midsummer.
The tops of the garlic will start to turn brownish and kind of look like it's dying.
right, and
That's when you know it's ready
and
to
that's
harvest.
that's a sign that all the goodness has gone down into the bulb.
Perfect. Okay.
So
Perfect.
you're going to harvest then, and you're going to lay it all out on something that has a sort of some breathability.
Yep.
In my case, I've got a shady place on my porch that still has lots of air circulation.
Right.
And I will leave it out there. If
And you kind of
if
tip
you've
it
got-
a little? I can't remember.
I tipped it so the air can kind of flow
Right.
through it. If you've got, say, an open barn, that might be good.
and
I
I've
don't
seen,
happen
do
to have
people
one.
hang it up? Is that...
After it's circulated for a while and it's kind of gotten all kind of cured, and that sort of ensures that it has a nice papery outside that protects the bulbs.
Yep.
So at that point, I will take them in bundles of maybe 5 cloves, and I will tie some string
Five,
to it.
not cloves, but
I mean
heads.
5 heads or so.
Yep.
And I will tie some string to it, and then I will tie the other end of the string to another 5 or so, and I will take these loops of string, and I will hang them up in a cool place in my
Festive.
basement. It will keep vampires
That's
away.
what I was just gonna say.
And it will just... my basement happens to be the place that is going to be cool and dry.
Yeah.
If you've got a root cellar,
Yeah.
more power to you.
That we need root cellars.
Yeah. So I happen to have a part of my basement that is not terribly close to the furnace or, the dehumidifier. You want it to be someplace where air gets to it, but no direct light.
Okay.
That works for me.
And I guess if you start seeing any mold, or if the heads start to feel squishy or hollowed out, like they should.
That's
it
a
should
clue
feel
that where you're
firm.
storing it is a little too humid.
Right.
So you might want to look for a place that's a little drier.
Right.
So,
And mold is always bad news,
oh yeah.
or squishy.
It's
And
done.
also, you know what garlic smells like. I mean, I think it smells luscious, but when it does start to go bad or turn a little bit, it's a little more, I don't know if the right, unctuous. It's a more powerful rotty smell. It's not like the
garlic,
beautiful
the fresh garlic
smell.
Yeah.
It's got sort of a punky smell.
Yeah, that's never a good thing.
Right. So, but that's a good indication if you walk past your little drying area and you get a whiff of something
Moldiness.
moldy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
Right.
So yeah, that's where my garlic that I'm going to continue to eat is still stored, and then I'll bring it up into the kitchen a few heads at a time.
So you've got a whole stash of it in addition to what we just planted.
I do, but generally, my goal would be to plant enough to last me the whole year. That's
Yeah.
not even like I'm lucky if what I plant
Yeah.
lasts 6 months. This year I'm planting a little bit more than I did last year, so hopefully it'll see me through a little bit further.
And hopefully there will be sort of an abundance so that your friends could also benefit.
Yeah, this was a good garlic year.
Yeah.
It wasn't great for tomatoes, but it was a
Oh
good
boy.
garlic year.
No, indeed.
But there's always going to be.
It's always next year. That's your mantra, right? That gardeners are
Optimists.
us. Yeah, exactly.
So-
And garlic, I mean, that was pretty easy to do. So
It is. The only thing about garlic is it takes up the room it takes up for a fairly long time.
yeah, that's true. But interplanting with lettuce
It helps.
helps a lot. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Good. Well, so we want to thank you guys for joining us on this gorgeous, gorgeous day. And I know you at least are going to be working in the garden for the rest of the afternoon with your
If Monty lets me.
Monty. Do you want to say goodbye to all our friends? Monty.
No, apparently not.
He's sleeping. Well, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time on New Digs. Bye.
Really good boy.